Sure, we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Anyway, tonight's live broadcast is going to be about the Democrats saying that Elon Musk has killed 300,000, or he has 300,000 victims because of his policies, and talk about Russia's patience running thin and running out. But anyway, one thing I want to do is thank all my new subscribers. I tell you what, the analytics that this channel is getting now, besides the subscriber counts going up, but the analytics I'm getting about my live stream stuff is like, I tell you what, my channel is starting to explode. I'm no longer in the slow lane on the interstate. But anyway, I appreciate all my new subscribers, But yeah, my analytics are phenomenal the last couple weeks. Appreciate everybody being here and spreading my shorts, stuff like that. It's nice to see my channel grow. The time people spend watching this stuff, and I can't wait to dress up my channel and make it look more professional. But anyway, have an introductory little spiel in the beginning, and be able to have picture-in-picture and show videos and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I gotta sit there and talk for a couple minutes before I get into the meat and potatoes of it. So for YouTube to send out notifications, people start showing up. But one thing we can talk about before that is, anybody notice that we ain't really getting summer anymore? I mean, I tell you what, I'm putting on a winter coat in the morning still. And I heard in the last 2 days, 3 volcanoes went up. One in Italy, one in Philippines. I can't remember where the other one was at. But it's like, this is like it's going to be like a year without a summer. I don't know. We've had a few days in the 90s, but it's not even going to get out of the 70s again this week. And summer's only a couple, 15, 16 days away. I just wondered if anybody else was noticing that we're not really getting summer. At least not where we're at. But we're getting moisture, which is nice, but we need some heat too for stuff to grow. Anyway, I see some people have showed up, so good. Let's get the meat and potatoes of this live stream. Elon Musk, the first subject. Elon Musk, 300,000 victims because of Doge in his, what he tried to do with Doge. Okay? And when I say what he tried to do, because he exposed what was going on, but I really don't hear nothing about anything that was done about it. Yeah, I sure appreciate everybody being here. But nothing was ever done about it. But 300,000 victims, let's see, that's in what? 4 months? Boy, that would make him a bigger mass murderer than Adolf Hitler. Are you kidding me? They're trying to spread this stuff. Now, first thing, I don't believe it in a second. Another thing, let's say it's true. So we got 300,000 people in this world that are dependent on my money or our country's money to live just in a 4-month period. Okay, this stuff has got to end. But anyway, all upset with Elon Musk. See, Elon Musk learned a lot of lessons, I think. He was brought in by the charisma of these politicians. He was allowed to feel like he fit in. He was probably in it for his own little reasons too. One reason he didn't like the big beautiful bill or whatever they call it now. I don't like it anyway, but because it cut out the tax credits for electric vehicles and stuff like that. But he found out a lot of things, I think, about politicians. And then to say that all these politicians or rich people give to both sides. Donald Trump did it. Republicans and Democrats. Elon Musk does it. Republicans and Democrats. Okay? If you're a rich guy, you don't really care about the D or R by their name. All you care about is that they can sit there and help you in a certain way. I heard you had problems with the Irish back in the day. What happened there, you in the Northern Ireland? I'm Irish. I'm 50% Irish, and I'm 50% German. I can tell you my forefathers' name, my ancestral names, because I don't have those anymore because I was adopted. But there were Kettner and Schiller and Doyle. Let's see, Doyle and McCarroll. So that's my German and my Irish in me, 50-50. So I can be a handful. That's one thing, you know, people don't realize how bad the Irish got treated, okay? Yeah, they weren't slaves their whole time they were here, but they were slaves, you know, indentured servants and stuff, so they could get their freedom. But, you know, the Irish were treated pretty bad, you know. Remember the joke would say, you know, this black man was out on the rail car, and he got kicked out of the passenger car because he was black. Well, anyway, then this Irish guy comes out and sits down on the cart, the open cart, and says, "Yeah, they kicked me out because they found out I was Irish." So, you know, Irish got treated pretty bad too. But that's what I am, German and Irish. My boss just sent me this. Do you have a drinking problem? Nope. Don't touch alcohol. Don't have much time for it. Is it true Irish folks develop more gas? How the hell am I supposed to know? But anyway, but they're all upset with Elon Musk. And then I made a short today about they're all upset with Elon Musk trying to do what he thought he was supposed to do. Find where government was spending money where it didn't need to, bring it to the attention of the politicians so it would stop, because that's what the American people want, right? Right? That's what Trump got elected for. And we elected him too to stop the war in Ukraine, to stop funding these wars. Okay, so we're funding all these wars, so I made a short about they sit there and say Elon Musk has 300,000 victims. What about all the victims from all these wars that we're supporting? I mean, I heard the other day Ukraine has lost a million men. In Russia, about, I heard a tenth of that, so 100,000. Well, that's way more than 300,000. And what about Israel? What about all the weapons we sold to Taiwan? If that war explodes and stuff. I mean, America just seems that they can wash their hands when they just throw money at it and arm one side and say that was, you know, what did Lindsey Graham say? That the best money ever spent was money spent to kill Russians? However he said it. I mean, is that the type of country we live in now? And we're going to get mad at Elon Musk because he goes in there and does what we told him to do? You know, he's the only one. Elon Musk is the only one in politics that got into politics and did what the American people wanted him to do. Anybody disagree with that? The first one. And look at how long he lasted. 4 months. You know, what has Trump done that we really all wanted? Oh, he's throwing some really bad illegals out of the country, deporting them. They all need to be deported because they're all criminals. They all broke the law getting here. They're criminals. Deport them all. There's a legal way to come to the United States. That's what we wanted. We wanted the Epstein list exposed and the people doing the walk of shame that are on it and stuff, and the truth to come out. That's never happened. I mean, can you imagine being a parent of a missing child that's been missing for many years, and you can finally have closure to where your child went, and then really want to get even with the son of a bitches that did it? You know, they're all protecting each other. But what has Trump done? Has he ended the war in Ukraine? No. In the second part of this, we'll talk about Russia's patience and Donald Trump's phone call with him. You know, how the hell can Donald Trump even talk to Putin about what to do when Donald Trump doesn't have a country under attack like that? But anyway, we spend all this money on war and weapons. Over $1 trillion military budget this year. $1 trillion. And we're not responsible. That money is not responsible for any deaths anywhere in the world. Are you kidding me? And you're going to get on Elon Musk because he wants to do what he got hired to do? You know, well, we all know that Elon Musk is not a politician anymore, okay? And I'm sure he had his own little reasons for getting in there, maybe tweak something his way, but whatever. All I know is he exposed a lot of stuff. Nobody got in trouble for it. Nobody got arrested for it. And whatever. But that's the world we live in. But like I say, Elon Musk went there, did his job, and nothing happened because of it. And now we got a bigger budget than we did last year. And this is the thing. The only reason why they like to control the presidency is because they get to control how the money's spent for the next 4 years. So Democrats just got to hold back because we got a Republican in office now, and he's got Republican interests that he's going to waste our money on. Okay? Just like you guys wasted our money all these other years, but a lot of them are the same. War. Okay? Now, has the money been cut off to illegals? Anyway. But yep. Elon Musk is supposed to feel like he's got blood on his hands. So does that mean that I feel like I'm supposed to have blood on my hands? Because I feel like I don't want to send them no more money. And now we're not sending them no more money like in USAID. I'm supposed to feel bad like I got blood on my hands? Are you nuts? Okay? See, the thing is, a white guy like me has got to work all the time because he can't play the victim in this country. All right? I'm not allowed to do that. You know, I got a strong back. I'm willing to work, get out there and get my hands dirty. Government knows I'll do it, and I don't accept any type of handouts whatsoever. So, you know, who the perfect person to sit there and take money from? Because I don't really need it, right? Anyway, it just 300,000. I just wonder how they got to that number. Making him a faster mass murderer than Adolf Hitler. Okay? You know, just because he did what the American people wanted. You know, and then it just died away because if people would have been exposed for what they were doing and charges would have been brought up and more, it would have more coverage. But we don't get that. Anyway, so that's enough on that. Let's talk about Russia's patience now with this war. Okay, they had a major blow you all heard about with the Ukraine sneak attack, you might want to call it sneak drone attack deep inside Russia's territory, taking out their nuclear strategic bombers and stuff. You are a fool. Eat your TV dinner and pipe down. Anyway, I always like advice like that. But, you know, and then Trump called Putin up. And of course, Trump don't know nothing about it, which I think is bullshit, okay? Because if they were planning it for 18 months, that means they were getting supplies from the U.S. and intelligence from the U.S. over 18 months to get it done. And let's just say during the Biden administration. And Trump did, you know, you mean to tell me in 4 months Trump couldn't have figured that out? Pulled up some documents on this stuff? Maybe he wasn't told when it was going to happen, but he probably knew it was going to happen. Okay, but Trump's on the phone with Putin. Putin's getting his strategic bomber force blew up, and I think they took some shots at their sub base too and stuff. You know, just, you know, trying to sit there and really screw things up. And Putin's supposed to calm down. Okay, well, their apartment buildings are getting bombed. And while they're trying to sit there and assassinate Putin and stuff. And I'm not defending Russia in no means. I'm just you'll see the point I'm trying to make. How much patience the U.S. would have if this was being done to them. Okay? But anyway, you know, they're trying to assassinate him. They're taking out people in his government. Remember that bombing that took out, I can't remember who it took out, but it was supposed to be aimed at Putin. And then that one guy's daughter died or whatever in a car bomb because it's just all this stuff going on. And civilians getting killed. Okay, that's another thing. He's got civilians being killed and stuff because Ukraine don't seem to care where they launch this stuff. Remember how this war started and how it's progressed now to where Ukraine is shooting drones, and not to say they can't shoot them into Russia, but this is getting more and more crazier, like wars escalate. Okay, so Trump's on the phone with Putin, telling him to calm down and stuff. And if I was Putin, I'd say, what the hell would you do? You just had 12 B-52 nuclear bombers taken out. And that would, you know, take out a lot of airspace that's covered by the B-52s, okay? And then the nuke bases. You don't think we want to react it in crazy time? That's way more than the Twin Towers coming down. Okay? So he's trying to tell Putin to settle down. But don't worry, that is all coming to the United States, all right? All this crazy stuff is coming to the United States. And our politicians just can't wait for it to come. You know, the thing about this attack, too, that just scares the hell out of me, and it should scare the hell out of everybody, no matter what side you're on. How was AI controlled? Where the AI would determine the targets okay? How much closer we need to get to the Terminator for people to wake up and realize that don't even sound cool, all right? What if that AI decided that a moving car with some people in it was a good target? That just totally freaks me out. I mean, I guess I'm really stuck in the 1980s and 1990s because all this stuff is like Terminator. What was that? The Rise of the Machines, the third one? That's what this is reminding me of. Okay. Anyway, I see we got a lot of people here. I appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the notifications. Try and get the channel to grow, trying to get the truth out there. If you like the content, check out my shorts on my channel. I think you really like them. So just trying to get the channel to grow. Anyway, like I say, my analytic numbers are phenomenal on my live streams. For 184 subscribers and getting 4,000 views on a live stream, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. By the way, let's get back to Russia's patience. I mean, how long do you think Russia's going to deal with this? How long do you think he can deal with this? He's got his citizens, I'm sure, screaming at him. They need to do something. They need to feel safe. No different than we would do if we had apartment buildings being hit. Well, then again, I don't know. We do let illegal aliens take over apartment complexes now, don't we? But I guess if we had them getting bombed, that would be more visible. But, he's got to do something. You can't look weak. If you look weak, he'll have a coup. Especially if he loses the support of the people that he has because the people feel abandoned. It's just, that's one thing America needs to realize. Russia is getting bombed right now. And the average American is we're just sending money over there so more stuff can be thrown at them. I mean, how much the U.S. would have probably nuked somebody already over this. And then they had to deal with that pipeline that got blown up. That was like a $10 billion or $11 billion project or whatever it was. And then Germany paid the price for that. Okay, see, this is the thing. It's a full-scale war that's going on there. Putin knows that. The Russian people know that. Ukraine knows that. The Ukrainian people know that. But America doesn't know. America, their real war is Call of Duty, okay? Hey, hi. How are you, brother? I'm good. Appreciate the nice comment. There's a lot of people that come in here. I believe everybody should have the freedom of speech. But this is an adult platform, okay? This is adult content. We don't need childish comments in here and stuff, okay? You're the white daddy. Anyway, but Putin's going to have to react, okay? Russia could end this war so quick. Yeah, a few, maybe 100,000 people would have to die. But some hypersonic missiles with some low-yield nuclear weapons in the proper place. And I'm not going for this. But if we don't end this war, one of the sides doesn't end this war, eventually we're going to be sucked in, okay? We'll be part of this. After it breaks our country, then we're going to be dealing with rationing and bombs falling, even, let's say, conventional warheads dropping on the factories in our country if we have any factories that we can run. But it's just a bad idea, okay? I just don't understand what Trump's talking to Putin, trying to tell Putin, hey, relax, dude. I got shot at too. Anyway, and all we see on the news is pictures of Ukraine, of the war damage that Russia did to Ukraine. I think some of it's probably fake and stuff. But whatever. Well, you're having the same casualties in Russia. Why don't we get to the peace talks and at least see what each side wants and see if they can come together on a solution. And the first thing that has to go, okay, is Zelensky. He canceled the elections. They said we're supporting a dictatorship now. He canceled the elections. He's not even elected no more. He's just, hey, nobody can kick me out of here. We're just not going to have elections. Do you think if they would have had elections, he'd still be in office? No, this war would have been over if they would have been able to hold elections. Nobody talks about that. So we're supporting a dictatorship. Let's not forget about the Nazi battalions they have. Ukrainians there were a lot of Ukrainians that did have a problem helping the Nazis during World War II, doing the atrocities to the Jews and stuff. There were a lot of willing participants that were Ukrainians. But anyway, Russia just, I don't understand where people don't think that he's finally going to get pissed and start hitting command and control centers. Not me out here in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. Oh, yeah, the Pentagon. Take out some satellites. But why don't he just sit there and end the war? This is one thing I don't understand. Why don't he sit there and put 2 million men on the line and just steamroll the whole country? You don't even have to use nukes. Just steamroll it. Do a breakout and then do hell or high water. Encircle the troops and take Ukraine over and then dictate the terms to Zelensky. He's a dead man. That's the thing, too. Zelensky, if he doesn't realize he's a dead man from all this, if the Russians don't get him, somebody in his country's going to get him. Okay? But whatever. I guess he must feel protected from NATO and stuff. By the way, what's Russia going to do to react to this Pearl Harbor event they had, supposedly? I don't know. A longer war, that's for sure. I mean, everybody better be really ready to work those extra hours every year so we can sit there and support that war. Don't worry, we won't have to have our kids in the factories because they'll be sent over to Europe to fight the war. World War III, kids sent to Europe again, three times in a row. Anyway, the thing is, we keep pushing Russia like this and pushing them and don't give them any freaking breathing room at all. I mean, why is Trump still supporting this war? Why? Remember Castro. What's Castro got to do with this? Maybe we should have let Castro play baseball in this country and we wouldn't have had the Cuban Missile Crisis. Anybody know that he tried out for baseball, professional baseball in this country? Anyway, yeah, it's a fact that's hidden. So anyway, we'll see how much patience Russia has. But when this all kicks off and America realizes that, the front line is your city now. I mean, I did a short of a nuclear explosion. It was a pretty good one. Shook the camera and everything, okay? So people can see what it's going to look like. That's your city going up in terrible stuff. Just all the damage that can be caused because of this. We need to start spending money on peace and rebuilding. And, maybe the world could come to some type of goal that they could achieve together. I don't know, like space travel. Getting off this planet so this human race can really populate, whatever. Something besides we need to spend $1 trillion plus a year on our military budget with all these other countries just expanding their military budgets. Okay? That's the way it was before World War I. Not really before World War II, but before World War I. All these countries in Europe were just building up their militaries, getting stronger and stuff, just itching for a fight. And that's what we're getting. And then we're paying for this. But don't worry, we're supposed to get mad at Elon Musk because he went in there and did his job and tried to show how the government was wasting money. Killed 300,000 people. You know how many people are going to die in this war that's coming? I guess one good thing about it is we'll finally all start getting along in this country because we realize when bombs start falling on our cities. They killed you no matter what color you were. Your bombs weren't discriminatory at all. And all these simple little stupid problems we have that we fight about will go away. And then maybe we'll see who the real enemy is, the one that got us into this mess. We'll take care of that, and we all know who our enemy is. Okay? That would be, the government that's causing all this. The government that don't listen to us. I did a short today. The government operates like, people that operate with a red ledger, which is the one you don't show, and the blue ledger, the one you show the government, okay? And that's the way our government operates, right? There's one you kind of halfway show the people that may look a little normal, and then you got the red one that nobody gets to see. The one that shows the trillions of dollars in debt that we don't even know about. I just wonder which one that the American people are in. That's just the way it works, right? We're always the victims, I guess. But anyway, things could get crazy. I'm getting being a little bit more aware of what's going on. Getting more prepared. This could get really stupid really quick. All it takes is one mistake. One mistake. These airplanes flying. Remember at first when the Ukraine war started, when we think Ukraine wanted to get us to get in there, and all of a sudden they were hitting Poland. Some were going off an elevator in Poland, got taken out, and stuff like that. Okay. Now after we're dealing with this, after dealing with this, Russia got really, I tell you what, they're not going to be afraid to shoot. They're going to get to a point where they're going to shoot first and ask questions later. And if our jets or NATO jets start flying close to them, just like we do with our bombers, something's going to happen once. You put militaries too close together for too long a time, and the nerves, especially these guys, they've been on these planes for 24 hours, flying nonstop. They're already on edge. Just pushing them. Anyway, I know Putin's getting pressure from, he's got his, what do we call it, the warmongers that we got here. He's got to deal with the warmongers there too. He's got his Lindsey Grahams he's got to deal with, okay? And, he's got to appease them. Like I say, a coup is probably a lot easier to do in Russia than it is here with their type of government. He's got to be afraid about being that. He doesn't want to look weak, but when it comes to he's got to protect his people, and he has the means to end this war. Okay? Does that sit there and break the glass ceiling where everybody thinks, oh, the nuclear weapons have been used? We can start using them now. Or is that going to tone NATO down to sit there and realize Russia's going to end this war, they're not taking no shit, and you guys just stay the hell out of here? And Russia's got more nuclear weapons than what NATO put together. I mean, it's just a war you can't win. No side wins. They think they're going to run to their bunkers and they're going to survive? What about us? Russia is a paper tiger. I don't think so. If you think Russia's a paper tiger, just watch documentaries about World War II. The thing is, they're holding back. These ain't the battles like they had in World War II, who they line 100,000 guys up on the border, and they think that's a big deployment. I'm talking millions of men. Like the men that steamrolled through Army Group Center in late 1944. That type of stuff. They could do it. Why are they holding back? I don't understand. It's just costing more lives on both sides. And it's costing America a ton of money. God, that money could have been spent so many other different ways instead of going to politicians in Ukraine so they can have their retirement. Going to their schools so they can have school meals for their kids, but our schools go without. Okay? Stuff for the veterans. Stuff to fix our infrastructure. Okay, our roads. All we do is sit there and pay a ton of money to the government, and we get nothing what they're supposed to do for the American people. It's all going everywhere else. If all the taxes that they took in were spent on the American people, for number one, we'd be paying a lot less in taxes because the government would be running a lot smaller than it is, okay? A lot more efficient. I mean, the president sits there and goes around and starts giving money to other countries as they're leaving office, like Biden did, like every president does. Their last tour of the world is they're giving money out and stuff to this benefit, to that benefit, helping this country out, you know, whatever. I'm so tired of it, okay? That's not why we give money to the government. But we got infrastructure that's terrible, and they want to go to electric cars and stuff on stuff that can't even handle a heat wave. Remember when, was it 2 years ago, when California told people not to charge their cars because the electric system couldn't handle it? And you want everybody to own an electric car? Anyway, just another idiocy in this world. But anyway, we got some bad things coming down the pipe. Putin ain't going to take this much longer. He can't take it much longer. Okay? What's he going to sit there and keep going until they finally do get him? Okay? Deport Musk. He was just doing his job, people. The American voter voted for Trump, and they voted for Elon Musk to go do Doge and expose the government spending money stupidly. And he did that. Not that anybody ever got arrested or anybody got in trouble or nothing like that. Nothing really ever got exposed about it. You know, Elon Musk sat there and said some stuff and it kind of got swept under the carpet because he was in there doing his job. He wasn't a politician. See, this is what happens when you get real working Americans in there. He was in there doing what he was hired to do. And since he didn't understand what politics is all about, he only lasted 4 months because, you know, you can go see what's going on, but you're not exposed it to the public, and nothing's going to happen about it. See, he thought he was doing a good thing, but he thought he was working for people that were going to have his back and do something about it. Like I say, my hat's off to Elon Musk, just for the simple fact he was the first person ever sent to D.C. that the American people wanted in D.C., and he actually did what the American people wanted him to do. Who can disagree with me on that? Okay? Trump has a lot of shit and undone that Biden did. Trump has a lot of shit to undo what Biden did. The thing is, if they filed the Constitution, the president can't do anything that breaks the Constitution, so nothing should be able to be undone about what the president did. So if he's the auto pin stuff, that's crazy. That's beyond crazy. Where you have the power of the signature of the President of the United States with a president that, you know, in cognitive decline, you know, I like how they sit there and say there's no evidence of Biden's cognitive decline. Did anybody watch through his presidency? Like at last time at Normandy Beach? Anybody? Really? Okay. I guess that's one of those things where it's not actually happening what you see, okay? But I just find that interesting. Trump, best president ever. I won't go there. I'll say George Washington on that. Sorry, guys. Always be a George Washington fan on that. He's the guy that sacrificed the most for the creation of this country. Yeah, you say, well, he was a general. Yeah, he suffered the most. And he just wanted to be a simple man with simple pleasures. Didn't want to be a king, even when they wanted to make him king. Which president have we had since him if the public said, hey, we want to make you emperor like Napoleon? Which one would say no to that? And that's why Washington didn't want to run for a second term, because his health was declining. And he didn't want to die in office and be looked at as America that way, as somebody that never stepped down. Okay? So, anyway. Trump's done without Musk. What's going on with Elon? Elon just saw how Washington works and he doesn't fit in there. Okay? Elon is a businessman. He went there to do his job. He did his job well, but nothing became of it. He found out it was like to be an underling not underestimated, just an underling that's unappreciated. Okay? Somebody who he went in there and did his damn job and didn't get appreciated for it, and just nobody cared. No charges, nothing. So anyway, he had to go. So, but anyway, Trump's done without Musk. The thing is, this is the thing. If the Republicans don't start doing what everybody voted for them to do, cut the budget, stop going in debt, stop supporting the Ukraine war, the Epstein list, get rid of all of the illegals, even if he needs those citizens to help him. Okay? If they don't start doing this stuff, Republicans aren't going to come out in the midterms. They're not going to do it. Because what has Congress done since Trump's been in there? Nothing. Except stall tactics. But anyway, so I would say that if the Republicans don't start acting, their inaction is going to cause the Democrats to come out and force in the midterms and take the House and Senate back with real votes and maybe some, they'll just keep counting until they get some more people in there. But Trump's going to get impeached. Then they have J.D. Vance to deal with, but Trump's going to get impeached. This is maybe what these Rhino Republicans' deal is, to get the vote turnout so low during the midterms that Trump does get impeached. I just don't understand why they hate this president so much. I mean, my God. Trump did it. Not us conservatives, when Biden was in office, we didn't blame everything on Biden. If it was cloudy that day, it wasn't Biden's fault, okay? If somebody died on the highway, it wasn't Biden's fault. Everything is Trump's fault. And this is what I'm trying to tell Democrats. Hey, you're not going to be going against Trump in 2028. And if you are, if they snaggle that somehow, then Barack Obama will be your candidate because he'll run for a third term. But you're not going to be dealing with Donald Trump in 2028. So why don't you guys start looking for somebody that's you're going to be able to run against J.D. Vance, a young charismatic Marine. I love it, man. I love it. Knowing he started off in those little yellow footprints in the adult world just like I did. Got out of the Marine Corps and NCO just like I did. Oh, yeah, I like him. Okay, but anyway, they need to focus on that. Where's their young guy? But this is the thing. Democrats need to start demanding the same thing. Illegals out. The Constitution be followed, enforced. Okay? The Constitution is there to maximize the protection of the American citizen and minimize the protection of the federal government. Okay? No, we are told many times that we're not supposed to allow government to do what they're doing to us. But that's a deal for another day. But anyway, this all started with Russia's patience, right? Maybe Russia's waiting for a change in this country, for the patriots to stand up and say this is bullshit. But anyway, if we just stop, you look patriotic. I am. Marine Corps, 85 through 94, ground pounder. Anyway, got education and stuff too. But yeah, I've been around the world. I got to see the world. I didn't get to see a lot of good in it. And it seems like we're just all inviting all this bad stuff. But the wars that are going on now, this is going to be missiles flying everywhere. This is going to be the war we all dreaded if it gets pushed too much one way. But Russia could end it in a second. Couple seconds with the few hypersonic missiles. End of story. Like I say, he doesn't want to hurt the Ukraine people. He just don't want NATO surrounding him. You know, and this all started back in 2014. Remember when the CIA helped take out the duly elected pro-Russian government? Remember that whole thing? Which we had something to do with? So that was 11 years ago. This stuff all takes time. I think Russia liked it when we took out his friendly government in Ukraine. Probably wasn't too happy about it, was he? Just like I guess if China were to sit there and overthrow the Canadian government, okay? And instead of putting a U.S.-friendly government in there, they sit there and put in a Chinese-friendly government that allows Chinese troops, I know, right by our borders and all that stuff. See, if we're going to dish it out, we need to be able to take it, too. But anyway, I just couldn't imagine what that phone call was like. Trump trying to say, hey, you need to settle down. You don't really need to get that excited. You don't need to respond to this. And if I was Putin, I'd say, hey, how about I just start lobbing missiles at you and see what you think about it? Okay, because, you know, he's sitting there cutting Putin down in public. That's one thing about Trump. When it comes to certain things with diplomacy, he needs to keep his mouth shut. Don't be getting on social media or in front of the cameras and saying that stuff about another world leader. I don't remember that either growing up. That happens a lot now. Maybe a congressman or a senator, but not the president. You're going to have to sit down in the room with this guy and make a deal. Why the hell would he even want to talk to you? First question would be like, hey, what about all that shit talking you've done about me? But he needs to calm it down sometimes. And maybe sometimes, I hate to say it, but be a politician when it comes to diplomacy and stuff. Because that open diplomacy like that, that's just another thing where he's getting jabbed at, making him look weak in front of his people, his military. Okay, what do we normally see of Putin before all this war and stuff started? Putin out there riding horse without a shirt on, doing judo and stuff against guys kicking their ass and shit. Well, that's not the Putin we're seeing now, is it? I mean, the image of the strong man is going away. But this is crazy, you know. The attack was crazy. But to be done, controlled by AI, like you say, just adds another level to my anxiety about how the military's fought these days. My military fights these days. We're not going to have people, you know, doing it no more. Now we can just have drones flying around that are AI controlled, autonomous, and picking up targets on their own and diving down and taking them out. Oh my goodness. Crazy world, huh? But don't worry. It's all going to be coming here one day. We're all going to be dealing with it here. America thinks they're going to be immune from this. But, you know, we get what we pay for. And we've been paying a lot of money for this war between Russia and Ukraine. And we're going to get what we paid for. I mean, we're poking the bear. And people can say, well, we don't have troops over there. We are poking the bear. Because without our assistance, Ukraine wouldn't have shit. Okay? Their economy would collapse. You know, and their military would collapse. But, whatever. You skip Bylas, how do we donate to you? Good goddamn, read your chat. I'm sorry, guys. The thing, okay, number one, donating to me. You don't have to donate to me. I'll never ask for a donation. When this channel gets to where I can get monetized, let the advertisers pay for it. I have a real hard time asking for somebody to donate to me for what I have to say. I don't know. I don't feel right about that. You know, I have a job and stuff. I appreciate it. That'd be something as I grow and stuff. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. But, you know, I don't feel right about taking money from people on YouTube right now. Like I say, when I get monetized and the advertisers can pay for it, and then I want to do a lot of stuff on YouTube. I can get my studio made up like I want. I can get my computer skills up to where I want, and I can sit there and really be professional about this. There's lots of things I want to do, but anyway, he's a military disabled 100%. No, I do have a disability rating, but it's not 100%. It's just 10%. We have Russians surrounded. Yeah, we have Russia surrounded. And what did we promise to do after they fell in 1992 or 1991? What was that ever? When the Soviet Union, we promised that NATO would not surround them. We helped them out. I mean, that was one thing we did. Our government did. We paid to downsize their military. We sent money over there to build houses for their officers so they have places to live, to downsize their military. And then these war hawks got in here, and then they just, you can look at a map and they're surrounded. I mean, what are they supposed to do? NATO, added 19 countries on or 17 or 19 countries on since they said they weren't going to expand NATO no more? Good, sir. Would you rather watch a track grow or a knee grow? Tree grower, Negro. I'm not a racist individual, but I was a tree trimmer. So I'd watch my grass grow. Okay. China and Russia will not be easy on us. No. I mean, just think of China. All they got to do is sit there and send planes over full of Chinamen, dropping them out of the air until there's more Chinamen in this country than there are Americans. I mean, if China were to lose 500-600 million people in a war against us, that's not going to hurt them one single bit. See, this is the difference with China and Russia, though. Russia will nuke us because they don't care. Maybe not Canada because they want Canada back, but the continental United States, they'll nuke us. China won't nuke us because they own everything. They want their goods. But, you know, we're never going to beat. Could China land troops on our shore? I don't know. I don't know if with nuclear weapons and stuff, if you could actually do a D-Day on a country anymore. I mean, that would be, you got the advanced weapons we got. I just don't see it happening, okay? You know, where you got, and then you got AI, so you don't even have any guys on the beach. It's all robots. You know, I just don't see it happening. But, you know, something would happen. Maybe they could come down through Canada and stuff, or go through Mexico, get in here through that way. But that's what they would do. But, you know, they're not going to be easy on us. You know, and the thing is, China's got a lot of factories just ready to go to make all the material they need and the people to go in them, to work them. Where do we got that? Where's Rosie the Riveter? Where's the factories to put her in? We were to go to a full-scale war tomorrow. How long would it take for our military to run out of supplies? 2 weeks? Chinese soldiers have been training in Canada. I heard that. You know, but if they were to sit there and get on our border, we'd know about it. There'd be somebody out there in the sticks that lives out there in the sticks that'd be able to warn everybody. But it's just something that could happen. Okay? Biden cut off the Keystone pipeline, right? So we're not getting that oil like we want it, so he starts selling it to China. Ooh, let's get China and Canada, buddy. Anyway, crazy world. This is all I know, that there could be a world of hurt coming down. My apprehension, you know, I'm starting to really pay attention. The heat of the summer, if we get the heat of the summer. But eventually, somebody's going to snap. And, you know, all they are is looking for that reason. Everybody's kind of holding their breath. Nobody wants to be the tip of the spear. You know, but eventually somebody's going to get pushed into that point. And, you know, it's going to be Putin. Okay, it's not going to be China and in Taiwan. Because let me tell you something about China and Taiwan. If China decides to take over Taiwan, there isn't nothing we can do to stop it. Nothing. At all. Nothing. Okay? And that's why Taiwan's starting to sit there and build factories in the United States now, because they know that China's eventually going to take over their factories they got there. So they might as well start here in the U.S. while they can. But we ain't going to be able to stop Taiwan. I don't care how many carrier fleets you send over there. They still got more ships than us. But anyway, but Russia, you know, we're going to engage them directly. Anyway, do you remember Russia said they will take out command and control centers that are dealing with this war, no matter where they're at. Okay, and all I know is they lost a lot of strategic bombers. And, you know, when those things are up there in the areas they take care of. So that's a lot of space that's not being taken care of now, that they had to reorganize everything to deal with that. You say, imagine this country if we lost, I don't know, a bunch of B-52s or B-1 bombers. Let's say they attack deep in the U.S. at South Dakota, there in Rapid City, in Minot, North Dakota. Let's say they attack those two bombing bases, those two air bases. What would we do deep in the U.S.? We just sit there and say, oh, we're going to do nothing? Yeah, right. Okay, well, that happens. Well, apartment buildings are getting hit by bombs, and they're trying to take out President Trump and all this other stuff. So the patience that Russia's having right now is tremendous. But eventually, it's going to run out. They're going to have had enough, and Putin's going to be forced to act, okay? He'll be forced to act, or they'll put somebody else in charge that will act, do what the people want, okay? But, the American citizen doesn't understand what the Russian citizen's going through right now. Has no idea, all right? And now they're being attacked deep in their country with new forms of warfare. Definitely 4th generation, 5th generation warfare, okay? Russians won't do anything. Okay. Well, I think they will. But we'll see. We'll see. I know the U.S. would. Okay. We'd have done something a long time ago. Call the bluff. Yeah, well, like I say, we're going to see who's bluffing here. And the thing is, who's in the pot? All the citizens of all these countries that are involved. That's who's in the pot. And when the bluff gets called, all right? Anyway, I've been on for an hour. If you like the content of this channel, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Help me get the truth out. Hit the notification bell, so YouTube will send you a notification what's going on. My channel's really growing. I appreciate everybody being here. But see, everybody's here because you're all feeling it too. Even the ones that disagree and stuff, they feel something's coming. Something's not right. The tension's too high. So, and it's just, this is what happens when world leaders push for war. You get war. And they're going to get their damn war. A nuclear war would be terrible. Extremely terrible. Even a limited one would be terrible. I mean, can you imagine the East Coast getting hit, right? And then dealing with all the nuclear power plants that are going to explode because of it. The natural disasters. And they sit there and want to complain because Elon Musk supposedly killed 300 or alive 300,000 people because of his Doge recommendations. Well, they're spending money to sit there and start this war that's going to unalive millions of people in one day. Money well spent. I hope Lindsey Graham thinks that. We love the power, just a terrible government. We have the power, just a terrible government. Yeah. We don't have a moral government. The power is in the people. But the people don't want to exercise that power. I mean, we got people saying that you don't have the right to own a gun to protect yourself from your enemies, whether it be the government or your neighbor. Anyway, Montana is screwed. With all their silos. Yeah, that's one thing about where I live. See, I work here up in the northern part of Nebraska where I'm at right now, and I fence up here in the pastures for the ranchers. And they live it down there in southern Nebraska by the Colorado border. And I actually have silos that are about 10 miles from my house in the next county over. And yeah, I know what you mean. So I won't be around there. You know, after I get my lawn all green, yeah, they'll sit there and have to make the world a crazy place, huh? But it's not going to be safe anywhere. Have a nuclear winter. I just don't. These are supposed to be educated people. Why would an educated person spend over $1 trillion on a War Department to create more war, more sophisticated weapons to create war? Why? You can't think of reasons to use that in a better way? It just, the number's phenomenal. Okay. But anyway, I guess the point is Russia's probably not going to take too much more. And you'll remember the point where you're at that day when you realize Russia's had enough. Okay? And like I say, governments give us days of infamy. Not the people of the country, but the government of the country brings us those days. And there's another day of infamy coming, which is being brought to us by the actions of our government. Okay? So, anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you for being here. Like I say, hit that like, thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and go to my channel and look at my shorts, thoughts of the day and stuff, and check them out. You might like them, and share them. Let's get this channel growing so I can really get busy. You know, if I could do YouTube full time and have the money to sit there and really make a professional type channel, I can become Alex Jones too. Anyway, thank you for everybody being here tonight. I appreciate it. So we'll all see you tomorrow night. This is Tom. I'm out.